I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses because it would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey Live. I am your host, Wayne, joined, as always, by my partner in crime, the lovely Miss Tiffany. How you doing, ma'am?
Good. We've been busy all day.
Yeah, I think I know why. I want to take this opportunity. I'm going to be the first one on air tonight to say happy birthday, Mr. Tiffany.
Yeah, he's 29 again.
29 again. Was that like 8 times now?
No, not quite that much. I did tell him at lunch because he was kind of poking. I'm like, come on, old man. I got to get you back to the home.
How old is Zach, really?
He's 45.
45, all right. I just turned 45 in February, so I'm just a little bit older than Zachy. Yeah. Zach and I will be representing our banana hammocks at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Festival this year. Anybody, you are all welcome to come. And no, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to y'all. Zach might wear his, but
he would. Yes, you cannot embarrass this man. Okay, true story. You cannot embarrass this man at all.
Yeah, I'm envious of people like that. I am not that kind of person. I get embarrassed really easy.
No, not him.
Yeah.
Not him. And he has listened to me nag all day. And it's like you just want to pick up the phone and say, yes, Jesus, it's me. Yeah. Yeah, I was reading that Bible verse, Proverbs 21, verse 19, and it says, it's better that he stay in the desert than live with a nagging wife. Yeah, it hit me hard. So do I just take him to any desert?
You're killing me.
He puts up with so much of my stuff. He's so good.
Yeah. Zach's all right. So y'all had a pretty good day?
We did. Not knowing that I had anything planned today, he filled up the whole entire day. So we had to back our dinner up and, but we got it all done.
Good deal. And you were going to take the night off and just let me have our guest on tonight and do it solo, but he insisted that you didn't. So that's the kind of man he is.
Yep. He said, I don't want you to do that on account of me. So I said, okay.
Speaking about our show tonight, I have been waiting on this one for a while. We've got a really cool guy backstage right now, Mr. David Hardy from Hardyware. Cryptid.com. He is the t-shirt guy. Y'all have seen me brag about his t-shirts. I'm wearing one right now. I will stand up and show it in a few minutes, but we're going to show some pictures of a few of his shirts, and some of the people modeling them are going to look familiar to you. But yeah, I am excited about this one. So let's go ahead and pay these bills and we will get to him.
Yes.
All right, guys, if y'all are new to the show tonight, have not done so, please take just a second, hit that subscribe button. Help Tiffany and I continue to head in the right direction and grow the show. All of that good stuff. We would love to have you. Tell your family, tell your friends, but please hit that subscribe button.
And if you would like to come on with Wayne and I, you can reach out to both of us, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. And I just filled up today the last show date for June. So now we are booking into July. So every Tuesday and every Saturday, we do have our trip coming up in July. So just reach out to us and we can work out your dates.
We stay busy around here.
We do.
Guys, head over to paranormalworldproductions.com. Check out our website. You can have a look at all the other shows. Sasquatch Odyssey, this one, obviously, that Bigfoot podcast, The Basement Hangout, Kentucky X-Files, True Crime Odyssey. Join the mailing list. Get your free newsletter every Sunday. We are busy over here, so y'all take advantage of it. Head over there and pick you up some merch. We would, I'd love to see some more people on some Paranormal Odyssey t-shirts. But yeah, it all starts with heading to paranormalworldproductions.com.
And if you have any questions at all for tonight's guest, if you would just put them in all capital letters so we can grab them, and we will highlight them as always and ask them at the end. But please put them in all capital letters so we don't miss them. We try not to miss them.
All right. And the last thing we will touch on is we have 10 spots left for our members. We are up to 40. We need to fill 10 more spots to get in. Well, 10 more spots for you to be able to get in on the drawing. We will draw a name from the first 50 people that become a member, and that person will win a Yeti lunchbox, an autographed copy of The Unfamiliars by Tiffany, an autographed copy of one of Naomi Finn's books, and a Paranormal Odyssey t-shirt. So we only have 10 spots left. It's $1.99 a month. There's no excuse not to, guys. It's 199 pennies. It's not going to hurt anybody. Yeah, not to mention all the cool stuff you get. We do members onlys every week. We have the Discord. We're going to be doing a movie night. We just join the family, basically. We all just hang out and shoot the you-know-what. So, yeah, if you would like to take advantage of that, it's $1.99. Head over there and click the join button. We would love to have you. All right. Before we get to David, I am going to just tell how I came across him. I found David on Instagram, and it's just an awesome t-shirt that I saw. It was actually the Bigfoot tactical shirt. Y'all seen me show it off over here. I went to his page, I started following him, and I was looking at all of his t-shirts, and I had to reach out to him. I said, man, these shirts are awesome. I'm the host of Paranormal Odyssey and that Bigfoot podcast. I would love to, if you want to do something, work together, I'll buy some shirts, it doesn't matter, but I'd love to promote them for you and, maybe do a couple ads or something. He wrote back instantly and he said, yeah, that's cool. I offered to buy the shirts, but he sent me not only one, but 2 shirts and did not charge me, and threw in a few stickers. And those of you that watch me every night, there's one of them I got on my Yeti. There's my Sasquatch sticker that has been there ever since the day I got it. But so yeah, I mean, he and I started talking right then. I asked him if he'd be interested in coming on, talk about his shirts, anything cryptid that's happened in his life. He was all about it. And it was last week, I think, I was on Instagram and this shirt popped up, and I'm going to show it right now.
Look how cool that is. I love that one. Those little antlers.
It is my absolute favorite shirt that I own right now. And I mean, I don't know what this color is. I told Tiffany I think it's a dirty pink. That's kind of the color I put it, the way I describe it. But I reached back out to him and I said, dude, I don't want you to send me another free shirt. I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. Don't send me another free shirt. How much is the jackalope or the bunny rabbit with antlers? How much is it? And he said, $25. I said, send me your Cash App. I want one. But he had to verify that he had fat boy size. And he had one left. So I paid him and he got it in the mail to me the very next day. That's something else that I can say about it, brag about him. Anytime he sent me anything, it's been just a couple of days and I've gotten it. It's reasonably priced, $25. I mean, that's great. And the quality is amazing. The other two shirts, the Yeti and the Tactical Bigfoot shirt that I have, I've been wearing the heck out of them. I've washed them several times. They haven't drawn up hardly any at all. And I mean, they still fit me great. So I can't say enough about them. That was a pretty good endorsement, I think. So all of that being said, if you are ready, ma'am, I'm going to get David out.
I am ready. I love his energy.
David, what's up, buddy?
Good to see you guys. How you doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Awesome. Good. That was such a ringing endorsement. You're making me feel so good. I'm sitting here tearing up like, yeah, that's my t-shirt right there. That guy likes me. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, I appreciate you supporting my craft.
Yeah, man. Now you're an artist, right? You draw all these.
I am. I draw them by hand. So, I mean, like, obviously I draw them and then they get screen printed on the t-shirts. But yeah, everything on my website, everything you see, drawn by hand. So my website exists. So hardyware.com. I do shirts for like corporations, businesses, schools, everybody. And then the fun that I get to do is I get to draw whatever I want cryptid wise. That's my like side hustle, you know? And so I do like got into drawing cryptids and started with the big guy, Bigfoot himself. And then I went to Mothman. Mothman been killing it. And this is my outlet. This is my creative outlet. So as you can tell, highly detailed. So each drawing takes quite a bit of time. Probably some of them, people always ask me how long, 20 to 30 hours. Some like the Mothman design, this one I clocked 50 hours into it. Like, I mean, it's like layer on layer on layer. I draw on a iPad Pro in Procreate. And so I've got all the layers and I'm just drawing nonstop. But it's what I do. I have a lot of nervous energy. So even when when I just sit down, I'm like, I need to draw, I need to do something. So that's my life.
That's awesome, man. That anytime you get to do what you love and like support your family and everything, that's awesome. That's good, dude.
The more t-shirts I sell, the more I get to make. You know, that's how I view it. So that's probably how you view your podcast. You know, more listeners, the more support you get to do more of the thing you love doing. And that's a win for everybody, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Before we get into some storytelling, I'm going to pop up a few pictures. Y'all know who that goofy thing is. That's my Yeti shirt I got from him. And this guy right here, y'all saw just last week. Mr. Justin come on and hung out with me. Yeah. Now, how did you meet the Crypt of the Corn guys?
At the Ohio Bigfoot conference like 2 years ago or whatever it was. So yeah, this was when they started out. Like I think they had like 3 episodes or something like that, and we just hit it off. They're great dudes. Became friends. I've seen them at a few shows. I was at a show in Michigan. I saw them, and just cool guys. We talk, and we've got some really cool plans on doing some shirts specifically for their podcast. Awesome. They do some very creative things with characters and whatnot. And so we're looking at doing some of that stuff.
Yeah. Now that is Jay. That's the one that wasn't able to come on. He had the work issue, so we didn't get to hang out with him.
He was probably bowling.
That's exactly it. He had a bowling emergency.
Now, do you guys know who this is? Do you have any idea who this is?
You know, I'm sorry, but I don't.
It's Tom Savini. Tom Savini is the original makeup artist on Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, all the horror stuff. Go look him up on IMDb. This man is a living legend. And I was selling t-shirts at the Steel City Comic Con in Pittsburgh. And out of nowhere, he just came up to my booth and bought a t-shirt. Like, I was like, he was signing autographs, sees my stuff, walks over, buys a t-shirt. Like, that's totally stoked. Like, for an artist, you know, you're just like, for an artist to understand, you know, and appreciate your art, you're like, yes, exactly. Tom Savini is the OG, right?
That's awesome, man. And you didn't send me the Danny Trejo picture.
I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay,
you want me to send it to you?
I mean, if you want to, I can get it up later. Yeah, if you want to, while I'll show these other pictures real quick. But yeah, that's awesome. Anytime anybody that you look up to actually recognizes you and enjoys what you're doing, it's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So here's another Mothman shirt, and
that's Joel Thomas.
Okay, what does Joel do?
Joel works with Merkel Media, with Tony Merkel, the Confessional podcast, and he does a ton of. And he has his own podcast, The Rabbits.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got great stuff. They do a lot of monster hunting and different things like that.
Okay. Who we got here?
That's Raul from the Fermental podcast. They reached out just like you did. So when I opened up the you know, like the t-shirts, I just started posting it and I got a bunch of responses from podcasts. And so that was one of the podcasts that said they were paranormal. And they're like, hey, could we have you on? And so I was on their podcast, sent him some merch, and he's loved it. He's been wearing it ever since, out in New Mexico.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Once you get that sent to me, we will.
Yeah, I'll throw that. I'll send it to you.
Okay. All right. Well, let's shift gears, and when I get that one, I'll get it put up and share it for everybody. But you know, everybody that watches the show knows the first question I always ask is, what piqued your interest in the weird? You said in the beginning, this is kind of like your passion. It's what you get to do for fun. So what got your attention with the creepy?
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm in Western Pennsylvania, and I think, you know, ever since I was young, I was always drawn to like the weird, odd, strange things, mainly because I'd hear all this stuff at night, like all these weird sounds and all these coyotes and all the different stuff. And little by little, you start hearing stories. Kids tell stories. You know, kids will tell stories about Bigfoot and tell stories about, you know, Loch Ness Monster. Those are the two, right? Those are the, you know, Bigfoot's the gateway drug. You start with Bigfoot, and then you keep going further and further and further. And so kids make up stories. Kids have things that happen. And so I started drawing stuff at a very young age, and just like crazy, my imagination was all over the place. Got into X-Men. I love the X-Men cartoon and comics. I love comic books. Got into that, and then I started making T-shirts as a job, so as a profession at a local screen printing shop. And I said, you know what, I'd like to sell at comic book conventions. So because I love when people see my artwork, right? Well, I go to this comic book convention and I take one Bigfoot shirt. It was just like out of nowhere. I was like, okay, yeah, I do all these different shirts, take one Bigfoot, sells out. I do the next con, sells out. And they don't buy anything else. They just buy my Bigfoot shirt. And people are like, you're really good at drawing Bigfoot. And I'm like, cool, yeah. So then I do Mothman. Everybody's like, you should do Mothman. I had never heard of Mothman. But I was like, yeah, did a little bit of research, drew the coolest Mothman I could draw. And it just, all this stuff exploded to the point where I've become the cryptid guy in at least my area. You know, I know there's a lot of people make cryptid t-shirts and whatnot. I have a little bit of a different style. One of the reasons why people are drawn to my stuff, it's big comic book, dynamic, nasty, gross. So it's not cutesy, and it's not like, you know, so evil that it's out there. It's all family friendly. You know, you're never going to have like, I'm never going to draw a Wendigo chewing on somebody's skull. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not where I'm going. But I can do some like a lot of this stuff looks like Marvel comics, and people really dig it. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Now you didn't get to tell Tiffany and I this story, but when we were asking you about some creepy encounters or stories that you had, you told us about this murder. You said you had a murder
The story is
story,
going to blow
and
your mind. So I sent you a little bit about it. Here's the deal. I was in an area. I'm actually, oftentimes people are blown away by this. I'm usually the most interesting man in the room because I make t-shirts and I do artwork and I also speak all over the place. I am also an ordained pastor. So don't know if you knew that or not. And I, years ago, was in an area called Enon Valley, Pennsylvania. Okay. I had a youth group out there, had a bunch of kids. And there was a kid who came to my youth group who, his name was Vinny, and he was a good kid. And he was, I mean, I didn't know him super well, but I knew him like decently well. And he was a horse jockey. Okay. This story is bonkers. And so one day, now he had graduated. So it was like right after he was a senior, he graduated, and this crazy stuff happens. The kid come running in, his friends come into youth group to tell me this horrible story. He was out. Now, this is like a little farm town in the middle of nowhere. Do you know where the train derailed in New Galley? It's East Palestine, Ohio. Do you remember that? Where that train derailed and there was all that stuff? This is pretty close to it. So it was big explosions, all sorts of things. Pretty close out there. So he grew up out there. They what happened was these guys were in a bar and they called him up to come down. They don't know why. There's a lot of stories on why this happened, but he goes down to the bar and thinking that these guys are cool with him. These guys take him out back, break his hands with a hammer, duct tape him like all up, throw him in the back of a truck, drive that truck to a local drinking hole that they had like in the middle of nowhere. I think they called it the Bridge. They pee on him. They take a dead deer carcass, dump it on him, right?
What?
And they just leave. So this is crazy. So this is kidnapping, all this stuff. So what happens is the parents, his parents, somebody called from his phone. One guy, they say, was like a nice guy. He calls the last number, right? Police come, they get him. And it's just this bonkers situation. Like, who does this? Kidnapping, dumping a dead deer carcass on this guy? Like, what is going on? And so there's all these different rumors on why it happened, right? Like he snitched about something here. He got involved in, this other weird story. But it's really, really, really weird. So this town had I don't know if it was a cryptid, but it's not a cryptid. It's more like a spirit. And they called it the Cloak. And it was like this vengeful spirit. It was something that everybody had a different interpretation of it. And the stories didn't even line up. They're really weird, but I'd heard about it for years. Well, this guy, ultimately, the police obviously get involved. These guys go to jail who did this for kidnapping. 25 years was the sentence for most of them. The guy, I sent you the link to the or a picture of the article. But this is like 2010. The guy calls me up because I was involved in the area and somebody gave my name. And so I talked to the journalist. He's like, this is crazy. And they called this place Evil Valley. So Enon Valley was its name, but they called it Evil Valley. Something out of like a Stephen King novel. So just a bunch of weird, crazy stuff was happening. So they go through this case. The family actually sued the bar because the bar set this kid up. And as soon as everything was done, they sued him. They won like $25,000 in a settlement against them. The day that the judgment came in, the day that happened, they found him hanging in his barn, dead. And many people said the Cloak got him. And you're like, now, obviously, what does this look like? This looks like suicide, but it was so, it was too perfect. It was too, all these things, a lot of stuff doesn't line up. Just absolutely bonkers that this would happen. And so when I started looking into a lot of the elements and like what was going on, I was absolutely convinced that in this area, as I would hear these stories, so this is the most bonkers one, but I would hear things about hellhounds. I would hear things about, there's this pig lady. So Barbara Davidson, pig lady. Do you know what I'm talking about? Tiffany, have you ever heard of the pig lady?
I have heard of the pig lady. I don't know too much about her, but I have heard of the pig lady.
And lots of, they had like a school play about this pig lady, just so you know, which is real weird. Yeah. So this girl who was murdered in the 1700s, and they came home. It was like pioneer times. They came home. They found her severed. Her body was underneath the house, and then her head was gone, and they couldn't find the head anywhere. And then she's been haunting this area, Candleton Road. This is like, I lived right here, and people would say they'd seen her. And for years and years and years, like, hundreds of years, they had seen her haunting these fields and these things. So like, I know I had some friends who did some expeditions out there trying to, find the pig lady. Not something I would recommend. Not something I would look into. But crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And so then one day, one of my friends was like, dude, you got to see this thing. He said, I found this Indian rock. And I'm like, what is Indian rock? And when I sent you pictures of it,
you did.
It's this huge, weird rock on top of a mountain. Okay. So we had to climb this mountain locally. I mean, it's really high up there. We were in Appalachia, had to climb this mountain to get up. And it makes no sense. Nobody can tell you what it is, but it's on top of this mountain pointing to the sun. Like it's perfectly aligned from a, whatever you want to call it, solar perspective on top here. And nobody knows. People I had multiple people tell me, hey, I think it was human sacrifice, something Native American. We have no idea. I go up there and there's a bunch of those wooden teepees that you see. So, I had no context for this. Now, when you follow any Bigfoot account online, you see those teepees, those X's, all those things. There's some meaning there, So now, is this Bigfoot's rock? No, I don't think. I don't know. I know there's Bigfoot sightings in that area, but this rock, I'm like, this is bonkers. Like, this is like, so people have asked me what I think it is. I think you're talking territorial spirits, old gods. I think there's something amiss. There's some type of spiritual oppression here. So that story, yeah, dude, that's on top of a mountain. It's huge. It's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet long. It's massive. And there's nothing else by it. You tell me, 1, how it got up there, 2, how it got carved like that, 3, what it was for, and you just get a weird, creepy feeling being up there, like there's something amiss.
Are those leaves in there?
Yeah. So it sits down. It's like, it looks like a face, but it's like, flat. But yeah, leaves, because there's some trees, but yeah.
Wow. And then there's the teepee you're talking about.
Yeah, and you see that all the time. I sent that to a few Bigfoot accounts, and people said, "Oh, that's they've seen stuff like that. Don't know what it is. It's not around anybody. Like, this is in the middle of nowhere."
Yeah, you see something like that, you cannot say it was Bigfoot. What you can say is something with hands did it.
Sure. Yep.
So
got no idea.
A person or Bigfoot.
Yep.
So also, let me throw up there real
stuff. Quick.
Let me throw up the Trejo picture. How cool
There's
is
my
that?
Danny Trejo picture. Yeah, he came up, bought a T-shirt off of me, told me I had the best T-shirts he's ever seen. I said, Danny, I'm going to tell the world how you feel about them.
That's a fabulous compliment. It really is.
Oh, yeah. He's the coolest dude. Hey, and here's the funny part. Danny Trejo, so we all know Uncle Machete, right? He is so short. You would not believe. He is like 5 foot, maybe 3, 4. He is, I'm 5'10". I had to bend down to get in the picture with him. I didn't think it was him because Danny Trejo, I always thought Danny Trejo was 7 feet tall.
Oh my God, he's really that short?
He's tiny. Look it up. I
Oh,
don't know if he's
wow.
5'3", but it's maybe 5'5" or something like that. Like, he is short.
Wow.
Well, he is
He's the
short.
coolest dude, though.
I'm only 5'4", so I can't say nothing.
Oh yeah, I'm not criticizing him. Every movie I've ever seen with him, he is the tall, scary Mexican dude, right? Like, you're
Yes.
terrified. Like, and then like I saw him, I'm like, he's looks like a kid, you know, like, yeah. But that's the magic of Hollywood, right?
Yeah. So I want to go back to this murder real quick, and I was doing a couple of things while you were telling the story. Did you talk about, or did you ever find out why they did everything that they did? Why it was so extreme, and
Yeah.
what they had against this
So
guy?
there's a bunch of stories on why they did it. One of them is they said that he like one of the guys said that that this kid had broken into his house. I don't know, and stolen something. Another story is that he turned them in for that these people have been burning down Amish barns and he snitched on them. Another person said that he didn't throw a race. So he was a horse jockey. And, in the world of being a horse jockey, we know that there's a lot of gambling and whatnot. And he was supposed to, I think, throw a race or something like that. Didn't do it. And they came to collect. So it was a bunch of like weird stuff. Thing is these guys were strange. I mean, not just strange. They're characters in a Stephen King novel. I'm telling you, it's like, I knew some of them. I mean, not super personally, but like I would know them to see them. Really dark, nasty dudes. Like,
You
guys
mean like
around at
devil
all.
worshiping, or
Not well. So what I've learned is that in my time with people who claim to be like devil worshipers or satanic or whatever, usually they're just gothic. Okay, usually. The actual people who are caught up in this stuff are very, very serious about it, and they don't let you know. They're not looking to post it on Instagram, right? They're not doing it for the clicks. They're doing it for the arcane power over nature and other. And so I don't know. I don't know what these guys were into. I don't know if they were in. Sometimes I wonder with these territorial spirits if it's an influence over large swatches of like regions. I think that there's a lot of reasons that bad things happen in regions, poverty, generational issues, all sorts of things. But I also believe that there's definite spiritual forces who are against us, and they work very, very hard, and they get their claws in specific places. I believe this area is one of those specific, overly targeted areas.
okay? Because man, oh my God, that was some of the worst stuff. Because I'm a true crime nut. I watch the ID channel all the time, and I've never heard of some of that stuff. Throwing a dead deer carcass on top of them.
Yeah, I think that the dead deer carcass was accessible, right? Like, so I don't know that it was ritualistic, but maybe it was. I don't know. See, with a story like this, it's very open to interpretation because you got like you don't have the guy in front of you, like, and I don't think he's going to tell you why they did it, but it's just completely bonkers, And that was when I realized. It's funny. The people in the town, I don't think they get that the town's weird, And when this happened, I'm like, they're calling it Evil Valley. Like, they've given it a new name, Like, the branding is changed because, somebody got, kidnapped and then potentially murdered. It's bonkers. And you hear story after story, like, not this level. I'd say this is the worst one that it has, but they're bad stuff, man. So, crazy.
Absolutely. Now, David, we also talked a little bit before we came on about all these conferences and stuff that you do and the shirts that you sell, the people that you meet. You had to have collected some crazy stories. Do
So
any come to mind that you can share?
I'm going to be brutally honest with you, okay? When I started doing this, I don't know that I actually believed in Bigfoot, okay? I'm just don't judge me. I just did it because I was good at drawing big furry creatures, and it was like, oh yeah, Bigfoot doing this, like just having fun. So I started doing all these conferences, and here's what I learned. People are not buying a t-shirt for $25. That's not what's happening. People are telling me their story. They're paying $25 to tell me their story, and I give them a commemorative t-shirt to remember the situation, like to remember the encounter, because it's so many stories I've heard, and this one will blow you away. This is my craziest one. So I've heard all these things, all this stuff, you name it, and I've heard about Bigfoot being Nephilim. I've heard Bigfoot being, alien. I've heard Bigfoot Gigantopithecus. I've heard everything. But this lady comes up to me, and she was I would say she was probably about 60 years old, tiny little lady, quiet, reserved, and she's telling me the story of when she saw Bigfoot. Now, I'm also trying to sell t-shirts and talk to people, but I don't want to be rude. And she's, talking. And so she talks about how she sees Bigfoot, how, he would come visit her and all these different things. I don't know how believable it sounded initially, but she keeps going. Finally, without any lead up, without any change in tone, she goes, and then Bigfoot and I made love. And then she continues on her story. And I go,
back up.
Sir, hold on.
Hold on. You made love to Bigfoot. She's like, yes, I did. And I'm like, and I tell my friends, I was like, do I have to report this? I don't know if I'm a mandated reporter. I don't know if I need to call the authorities. We gotta, the Bigfoot do, I couldn't believe. And I'm like, and then I'm surrounded by people. And she said this, and I'm so blown away. And I'm like, I now have so many questions. I've got a lot now, right? I want to know some details, And she leaves. And I'm like, no, wait, what was it like?
Yeah.
I've got some, when the movie Mallrats, when, the one character's obsessed with, and I'm like, I need to know what Bigfoot's like, but she was gone. I couldn't believe it. I was in complete shock after that one. That nothing surprised me until that one. I'm like, oh, you made love to Bigfoot.
David, I'm going to be honest with you, buddy. I was not expecting that.
Neither was I.
That's the second time I've heard a sex with Sasquatch story. The first one, I don't know if you're familiar with Sasquatch Odyssey. It's my sister's show. Brian over there, he's my co-host of that Bigfoot podcast. It was last year sometime. He texted me. It was 11 o'clock at night, and he said, "Dude, it finally happened. I knew it was gonna happen. I just didn't know when. But I just interviewed this guy who claims to have had sex with a Sasquatch, and he sent me
the guy with
audio
with a female Sasquatch.
With a female. Said she was beautiful. She was absolutely beautiful, stunning, like a Native American princess, just covered in hair. And he sat on Brian. He didn't know what to do with it, and I was like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. He sat on it for 6 months before he released it, asking people's opinion. Is this too far out there? I mean, what do I do with this? And then he finally released it. And as you would expect, some people just were brutal to him, and others were accepting. And then now you hit me with a woman that took it from a Bigfoot dude.
I know. It was so weird. It was so weird. You know what I'm seeing too? I saw at these Comic-Cons, Mothman. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is with Mothman, but it's just exploded. I had the shirts, and then now people down the booths have the shirts, right? Everybody has these shirts and stuff. And the crazy thing is Mothman is so now as Mothman has become so absurdly sexualized, it's ridiculous. Everybody wants to have sex with Mothman, and I don't get it. Like, truly don't understand it. But like, they're like, trust me, some of these t-shirts and stickers that are being sold here, I'm like, that what? No, like I don't know why. Have you seen the Mothman statue?
Yes.
So there's all these people, Mothman has this giant butt. He's got the shiny hiney, right? and everybody, so now people are sticking quarters and $20 bills in his butt. Like, it's like this weird, like, how did we get to the point where we sexualized cryptids? How did that happen? Like, I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a country where women fantasize over serial killers and send them their panties and marry them behind bars. I mean, you're this crazy over a man that just killed 50 women.
Right. Well, they can change him. He's misunderstood. Yeah, right. I know.
I can change him. I don't know what happened to Tiffany. Probably the whole sex with Sasquatch.
She's like, no, can't do it. Too far. I lost your co-host. I'm sorry about that, man.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I asked you for a story and you hit me with what had to be the best one. I don't know how you're going to talk anymore.
It's nuts, man. It's nuts.
But I mean, do you have any more? Did any more stick out to you?
I mean, that's the peak of them. I mean, it's interesting. Everybody has different opinions on Bigfoot. It'll blow me away. I mean, every single thing you can imagine. When I was younger, I thought, well, it's just like, I do believe now. Just hearing all these stories, I will say this. This is what I tell everybody. There's something out there. They're seeing something. Don't know what it is. Don't know if I can quantify it. I know that there's a lot of very strong opinions that people have, and that's great. But I straight up have, I know that some of these people, they're not all lying. Like maybe the lady who said she made love to Bigfoot, maybe she's lying. Maybe she just likes doing that to people. I don't know. But all these with story after story after story, you say these people had to have seen something. And then the crazy, these stories are so similar. My sister, who is an ER nurse, or was an ER nurse during COVID in Florida, was out jogging. And she is not paranormal at all. She doesn't believe in any of that stuff. And she swears she saw a skunk ape in Florida. So she was out jogging in like a wooded area. And she swears, like, she called me up and was freaking out after this. And she's like, I saw Bigfoot. She didn't even know what skunk ape was, but she described skunk ape. And it's like the orangutan style, the big orangutan style Florida picture skunk ape. She said it stunk. She heard noises. She saw the eyes, all the things. And you're like, well, she saw something. She saw something. She's alive, but she didn't get eaten by skunk ape. Although, I heard a real creepy thing not too long ago, and it's starting to, like, I think most people think Bigfoot's like docile and doesn't hurt people, but some of this like missing 411 stuff and all the different things, dude. Some of this, if you think about it, if Bigfoot is eating people, that is terrifying. Like, because think about it. The people who see Bigfoot and like get away, those are the ones, those are the survivors. But with all these people that are missing and all the different stuff, you look at it and you say, Bigfoot might be hunting us. And just the people that disappear, they're gone. Now for what reason, I don't know. But could you imagine, you have the survivors on here, but man, you have like the ones who don't survive, many stories about that, and just, I mean, crazy, man.
That's
crazy
terrifying.
stuff.
It is. Now, the story you just shared about your sister, that's the stuff I love to hear. I mean, she has a respectable job. She's a nurse.
Yep.
And she's not a believer. And she's out jogging and sees something and calls her brother and says, I saw a Bigfoot. That's the stuff that you believe. She has no dog in the hunt.
I'll tell you, I've oftentimes said this, all joking aside, if I were to see Bigfoot, and let's say David Hardy, if I were to see Bigfoot, and let's say even I were to capture him on film, every single person's going to call me a liar because guess what? I make Bigfoot t-shirts. I kind of look like Bigfoot. I'm a comic book person. I'm weird. Okay, I get that. You know? But when like people like my sister who make fun of people like me run into Bigfoot, well, that's different, you know?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more credibility there.
100%. 100%. And then she throws in the weird smell, and you talked about.
She said it was the worst smell she ever smelled. She said, I cannot even. She's like, it was a combination of all these things. She said it was like wet hair, dog, putrid, rancid. She like all the stuff that she said, and I'm like, it's so funny. She's checking the boxes, and you're like, you don't even know what you're saying. Like you don't know what Totally blew me away.
So you got my mind running here, David. I want to hear more about this. What are the specifics? I mean, was in the woods? How good of a look did she get?
It was like it was still really far away. It was at night. She was in the woods in whatever you call it. I've been to Florida a few times, but not a glade, but wherever. It was like a wooded area. Nobody was around. So it was like during COVID, like the height of COVID, and she was just like, I got to get out of here. I got to go for a run. She knew that it was a space where there wasn't going to be anybody. It was incredibly stupid. Okay. She's tiny. So like, she's like 5'1". She's tiny. And she went by herself, which adds to some of the terrifying nature of this. It was very far off. And she said I couldn't get like what type of underbrush or thing that she saw it in, but it was like really, really far off, saw it moving, kind of stood up, saw the eyes, smelled, and she got out of there like crazy. So, I mean, she's sprinting. Oh my gosh, gets to her car, takes off, gets back. Super fast interaction in a space where she shouldn't have been, it was I think it was like a park or something, but it wasn't, it was out there. I do need, it's so funny. I literally just talked to her half an hour ago. My dad just had hip replacement surgery. And I'm like, I meant to ask her because we don't live by each other anymore. I'm like 4 hours away and I haven't seen her. I've been on all these podcasts and I've been quoting her story. And I said, hey, I need some clarification because everybody wants to know. And she's like, and the funny part is she doesn't want to talk about it. Like she'd actually be, I'm not going to say her name. She would be mad at me if she knew that I was telling everybody because she does not tell anybody. She told me, and she's like, and she told her husband, and her husband, he swears, he's like, yeah, she saw something,
Oh God,
I know, right?
Check every box, dude. She saw something.
Yeah. Well, and then I showed her pictures of the potential orangutan skunk ape thing, like the one that looks more like an orangutan. And she's like, it was more like that. She said it's not that, but it's more like that. Like I was like, does it look like Patty from this? And she's like, no. And then I was like, does it look like this? And she's like, it looks more like that. And I was like, okay. So, yeah.
That's fascinating. Those are the stories that I love to hear, man.
But dude, I hear this stuff non-stop. Like, because what happens is, so I take these t-shirts and I sell them at festivals, not necessarily Bigfoot festivals. Like I sold them at winter markets. I sell them because everybody, like, it's people flock to them, for whatever reason. And they tell you their Bigfoot story. And it's like people all over the place. It's everywhere. And they've seen him everywhere. Although, have you ever been to Spokane, Washington?
No.
Bigfoot, I mean, you would think that the branding of the town is all Bigfoot. There's Bigfoot statues. There's Bigfoot in the wall, in the windows of the stores. There's people wearing Bigfoot t-shirts, all this. I mean, now it's all like Bigfoot smoking weed, Bigfoot, eating mushrooms, Bigfoot, like all this stuff, but it's everywhere. It's like crazy. It's a different world. It's weird. It's like a cult of Bigfoot up there. It's so strange.
Yeah, I felt like I would be in heaven except for the drugs. I don't do drugs.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But I love Bigfoot. But you said, and I give you no crap about it. You don't know if you believed in Bigfoot or not. But are you leaning that way now? You say?
Oh my goodness, yes. In fact, if you don't mind, I'd like to share here's what I think Bigfoot is. I'm gonna tell you what I think Bigfoot is.
Please do.
This is where I've landed, okay? I'm a woo guy, all right? So I'm a woo, I'm a little unhinged, okay? So I do not believe that Bigfoot is Gigantopithecus, that we just haven't found a primate that exists from, preternatural situations. I believe Bigfoot is a fae or something along the lines of a fae. I believe that Bigfoot is an elemental third creature. So I believe that he's other, right? So you have humans, and from my perspective, you have angels, and then you have a third. And I think in there somewhere is the elemental. I think Bigfoot is more fae than anything else. And then this will blow your mind. And from my perspective, I think that you have good Bigfoot and bad Bigfoot, like you have good fae and bad fae. I don't think they're all fae or bad. In fact, I think there's some fae that are very good and are protectors of their realm and are obedient to their creator. And then I think that there are some that are nasty and terrible and will push you off of a cliff and eat you. I think there's something bigger going on here. I think that's why we see the footsteps, with the Bigfoot, go up a mountain and disappear. I think that's why we get the portals. We have all the different stuff. I will tell you really fast, one really quick story. My wife and I were at a youth camp. We had just got married, so we'd been like early 20s. We got done with this camp and we heard in the woods, and I've never been able to figure out what this was. I heard a metallic sound and a chain dragging, what sounded like a chain dragging in the woods behind us. Okay. There's no dog, there's no anything, but you heard this and then a chain, right? I have never run that fast. It was me, my wife, and our one friend. We were just sitting by his bonfire. We like sprinted to the car. I just knew there was something there I did not want to interact with. Sprinted to the car, got in the car, drove away as fast as possible. And my whole life, and my wife, I think she moderately believes like, hey, maybe some of this stuff. But if you talk to her about that story, she's like, there was something. I do not know what that was because it makes no sense. It like we're in the middle of nowhere and you hear, and then this chain dragging. You're like, what is this? I think those are fae. I think that Bigfoot is a type of fae, and it's now
you're
the marketing isn't great for saying Bigfoot's a fairy.
Yeah,
people don't like that, so that's why I have to go with fae. But that's that's my hypothesis.
You're blowing my mind, David, because I've heard it a few times. This from you is like literally the third, maybe fourth, maybe even the fifth time I have heard someone talk about hearing a metallic sound in the middle of the woods. And I can't explain it because it's happened to me twice in the same location. There's a mountain. I live in Southeast Tennessee. I live right on the Georgia line. And there's this mountain in North Georgia called Pigeon Mountain. It's where I had my belief sighting. It's one of our hot spots. And on two different occasions up there, I've been walking around in the woods with my members of my organization at night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you hear this metallic sound. It sounded to me when I heard it, both times I heard it, I pictured an old rusty swing set.
That's exactly it. Like an old rusty swing set, or like a manhole cover or something. The way it went, but there's no manholes. There's nothing out there. You're in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
at night.
The only metal, the only metal around is cars,
right?
And you're not.
And I was the only car anywhere. Like there was nobody around us. It's like 2 o'clock at night. Crazy, dude. Crazy. And, and then that fear you get so you're terrified,
Exactly.
Can I
All
say
right, we are
something
coming
before
up.
Can I say something before I
Go ahead.
explode? I'm going to
Go ahead.
explode out of excitement. Okay, so when we had Justin on from Cryptid of the Corn, okay, he and I talked after the show, and he said we didn't even get a chance to scratch what I thought Bigfoot is. And I was like, well, let's talk. You know, I'm right here. And he said, I think there's 3 different kind. He said there's flesh and blood, there's the supernatural, and he said, and there's the fae. And if you talk to Bobby Dizzle, he had a guest on who said, what if they are part of the fae? And the reason they just disappear is because they can shift their energy and there's gone.
I think that's the only logical explanation here, right? Like if they're just a primate, I just don't know how they disappear as much as they do. And all these stories you hear about it doesn't make sense. But then you hear, so the interesting thing is, and I would agree with Justin that there's probably 3 types or different things, because sometimes when people shoot Bigfoot, he dies. Sometimes it passes through him. Sometimes he takes the shot and just like it hits him and he keeps going. And you're like, how can you have this many different interactions? Like, how can they be so different with all these different stories? And I think that I think that there's multiple kinds. I think there's probably an entire weird ecosystem of these things.
Well, and look at the Dogman. Okay, they're all negative. Okay, yeah. All of them. So what if Bigfoot is like the more calm, gentle side of the fae, and Dogman, they just really are not good and they need a nap. Yeah. I mean, and they're the bad side of the fae.
Well, I think they're even spirits of vengeance at times. So like, or arbiters of vengeance. Like it seems like sometimes you're hearing stories that they're going after bad people and you're like, this is really weird. Not that they're good, but that it's, right. I don't know. It's like they're sent, you know? Yeah. Hearing these stories. Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's weird.
Yep.
It's excitingly weird.
That's weird. I mean,
it's so mind-blowing. When you get into it, you're like, there's no way to classify any of this stuff, yet literally millions of people have seen this stuff over the course of human history. And we have all of these things from Native Americans and, you know, all of the different elements. And you're like, there's something going on. Can't explain it, but there's something going on.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's bigger than
right.
you think it is.
All right, let's try to rapid fire through these questions because I need to try to get out of here as close to 8 or 9 as possible. So let's try to get through with these. Troy asks, do you print your own t-shirts? If yes, what kind of press do you use?
I used to print my own stuff. When I was working in a screen printing shop, I was a screen printing manager. I used a manual forehead. But then I actually have a printer in New York. So Upstate Merch is my guy. Dylan at Upstate Merch. He prints all of my stuff. So I work and all the hardware stuff is through him. So like when I do, you know, I'm in essence, I do the artwork, I do the vision, then he prints my shirts. He prints on MR, the big giant 16 head MR automatic presses. So big, huge, awesome. Like there's nothing we can't print. So.
Okay. And Blue Crossroads, what part of Florida did your sister have her sighting?
Tampa, but farther out, like not in the city, but Tampa's the best way to say it. I forget where. So she was married to a guy. She is still, but she married a guy from the military. He was at a base in Florida, somewhere near Tampa. So they moved since then. So I just don't know where they were.
Okay. And Miss Naomi Finn, was it it smelled like a wet dog that got caught in the crossfire of a rotten egg war, rolling and overflowing out?
I mean, that's very specific, incredibly specific. And yes, it was all those things. Every single one. She checked all those. She said it was the worst smell ever. Like she said she couldn't get it out. Like it was like stuck, you know, she can remember it. She says it's just, you know. Yeah.
Mr. Troy again asked, do you believe the government has anything to do with the existence of these beings.
At very least, I think they're trying to cover it up. So I don't think I think that if I hit Bigfoot with my car and I took a video of it and I was going to go post it, I would, suicide, right? Or I would unalive myself. I would just disappear.
Yeah.
I think that if every single person that we know had to deal with the reality of what's out there, I think society as itself would just collapse. I think they know. I believe that there's a subsect of the government that absolutely knows, and they know all of this stuff. And I don't think it's the Men in Black, but I do believe that they cover it up. I think we've seen videos that are real, but there's just so many fake ones that they just keep us guessing. But yeah, I don't know that they're manipulating it. I don't know that there's a larger governmental plan that Bigfoots are going to show up with assault rifles, but maybe they will. It'll be like my t-shirt. I don't know.
There you go. All right. David, tell everybody where they can find your stuff, buddy.
Awesome. So the easiest place is on Instagram, Cryptid Shirts. So at Cryptid Shirts, that's me. My website is Hardiewear, Hardie, Wear, WEAR. So Hardiewear. You can go buy everything. I got all this stuff online. And you can find me. If you search my name, I'm all over the place. But it's David J. Hardie, most places, but I'm on everything.
Very cool. And again, guys, I can't speak enough to the quality of the stuff. I love my shirts. I will continue to buy from you, and great job, dude. This was an awesome interview. I thank you.
Just wait till my book comes out. When the book comes out, it's going to be a big deal. Just wait.
Well, book comes out, we'll have you back on.
Sounds good, man.
All right, buddy. You enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. I removed the wrong one.
Yep. I was going to say, it just told me that I was removed.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff, huh?
I love his energy. It's so fun. And you get me talking.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh, it's amazing.
Sex with Sasquatch. I was not expecting that. Look at Mr. Mike Wolf. Thank you, buddy. Mike just became a member. Thank you very, very much for doing that, sir. You are now included in the drawing. Maybe you will win the Yeti lunchbox and all the other cool stuff. Mike, email either Tiffany or myself. Let me pop it up here. Either one of us, email us and we will get you the link to join our Discord. Okay? We have an awesome time hanging out with our Discord members, chatting, all that good stuff. So yeah, just get with us, Mike, and we will get you the link to get to signed up over there. All right, you got anything else before we get out of here, ma'am?
Nope, just that now we only have 9 spots left before we start pulling a name. Y'all better get in it. You're gonna miss it.
Yep. If you're watching, you're not a member, what are you waiting on? Just get over there and get it done. Tell your family, your friends. Let's get to that 50 so we can get this stuff handed out. I'm tired of waiting. But yeah, Wayne at Paranormal World Productions or Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. Get a hold of us, buddy. All right, say your goodbyes, ma'am.
Bye. I'll see you Saturday. We have Chad Garcia on 10 o'clock Eastern.
Good deal. All right, guys. Again, thank you for everything that you do, all the continued support. Thank you for being kind to our guests. As always, we will see y'all Saturday night. Till we talk to y'all again, y'all be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Bye.